Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Nugre Asgari. So, ngayon po, itatakil namin is what is the contemporary Philippine art. So, the history of contemporary Philippine arts traverses a vibrant terrain of artistic practices that delicately and urgently mediate the modernity of art history. Institution, exhibition making, and the expensive activity of curatorial work. It performs this range of gesture to speak to and intervenes in the ever-changing political milieu and the base ecology as well as ethnicity and the archipelago. So yun nga, yung Philippine art po, yung history ng Philippine art, it is the first century art na ginawa ng mga Filipino artists. Originating from the different religion in the Philippines, reflecting technological progress and the cultural diversity. So, the Cultural Center of the Philippines, or the CCP, which opened in September 1999, is an important institution in the history. The CCP was founded during the term of President Ferdinand Marcos and the First Lady Imelda Marcos, securing the funds of its construction and serving as its first chairperson. Its mandate was to promote national cultural expansion and to cultivate and exchange public interest in and appreciation of destructive Philippines art in various fields. Other institutions of culture during this time were the Design Center of the Philippines, or the DCP, founded in 1973, the Museum of the Philippines Art MOFA, and the Metropolitan Museum of Manila, all met. The latter two instituted in 1976. The artist Arturo Luz concurrently directed this institution, with his eponymous gallery practically managing the MOFA. So, yun na nga po. Ang CCP po, which opened in September 1969 and was founded during the term of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. So, the reason why po na meron ang CCP is because po para ma-promote ang kultura na nakasanayan at the same time po para itaguyod ang bansa na pinamumunuan nila. So, during the term of Ferdinand Marcos po, the Design Center of the Philippines, or the DCP, were founded in 1973, and the Museum of the Philippine Art, or the MOPA, and the Metropolitan Museum of Manila, or MET, the latter two institution in 1976. So, yung CCP, DCP, and MET, sabay-sabay po sila itinuro ng Filipino artist na si Arturo Luz, and at the same time po halos si Arturo Luz din po ang namamahala sa MOPA during in term of Ferdinand Marcos. Next is the CCP was a venue of modern and international art and helped cultivate ideas of contemporary conceptualism and performance art. The practice of Raimundo Albano created various space within the center from 1970 until his death in 1985. It's important in the development of cultural discourse and practice in the Philippines. During his term, he conceptualized the idea of development art, which for him was a powerful curator stance, inspired by government project for last implementation. In this term of cultural lineage, relationship with the audience, and ability to absorb the desire for distinction and identity. His initiative art of the region, which presented the works of Juni, Genera, Banzon, and Santiago, both in exemplary. Apart from this initiation, Albano also inaugurated the CCP Annual, a presentation of representative work of the year, and oversaw the publication Philippine Art Supplement, a bi-monthly art journal that ran from 1980 to 82, and the 3 issues magazine Mark with Johnny Manahan. So, dito po sa the practice of Raimundo cultural values is based within the set of 1970 until his death in 19. So yun na nga po, si Raimundo Albano ang nakaisip ng ideya about sa developmental artist para sa kanyang powerful coronation stance. And besides, and aside from that, si Raimundo din po ang nag-present sa mga artwork to kay Juni, Genera, and Banzon, and Santiago. And si Albano din po inaugurated the CCP Annual. So next is the socialism. Development in response to an increasingly authoritarian political milieu under the auspice of the development regime of Marcos. The term was exploited by critic Alice Guillermo, who described it as not as particular style but a commonly shared socio-political orientation which exposed the cause of society, exploited and oppressed class, and their aspiration for change. According to her, social realism was rooted as it is a commitment to social ideas within the dynamic conception of history. Social realism is the visual arts grew out of politicized Filipino consciousness. The latter was forged by the Philippine Revolution against Spain in 1896 and the continuation struggles against all oppressive system. Guillermo argues that social realism in the Philippines is stress the choice of contemporary subject matter drawn from the condition and events of one times, and its associated gain awareness of conflict. Whereas realism may be constructed as a merely stylistic term, social realism is a shared point of view which seek to expose or lay bare the true condition of the Philippine society. So, in the Philippine society, the work of an collective kaisahan solidarity in 1975 to 6, whose members including the painters Papo de Asis, Pablo Bin Santos, Orlando Castillo, Jose Curesma, Neil Dolorico, Edgar Tulusan, Ruz Fernandez, Charles Funk, Renato Habulan, Albert James, Al Manique, Jose Tenzruz, and later joined by Vin Toledo, become emblematic of this tendency. So, sa social realism po, yung social realism, ito po ay mga practices of using of using art, primarily visual art, to highlight political and social issues. So, ipinaliwanag ng critic na si Alice Guillermo po na hindi bilang isang particular style lamang ang kanyang art, ngunit isang karaniwang stylist. And ibinibahagi po nito sa socio-political orientation. So, according kay Alice Guillermo, yun yung para sa kanya sa mga social realism. That's all, ma'am. Thank you.
So hello everyone, my name is Dasher Mendoza. I am here to discuss about the Quicksilver practice of Wonderkind and the kababaihan sa sining at bagong sibol na kamalayan, or woman in the arts in an emerging consciousness, also known as kasibulan. But before that, we must first identify the following words. First, the idiosyncratic, a strange or unusual habit, way of behaving, or feature. The second is milieu, a person's social environment. Third, albite, or also called as all-too. Homoludens means man the flayer. Provocator, a person who deliberately behaves controversially in order to provoke argument or a strong reaction. Blitzkrieg, an intense military campaign intended to bring about Blitzkrieg, an intense military campaign intended to bring about a swift victory. And lastly, but not the least, the Philistinism, the attitude or quality of not caring about understanding or liking good art, music, or literature. He was a homoludens, which was, I say, so David Maddala contribute during modern and contemporary arts. He was a homoludens, or what I said earlier, he was a homoludens, or which means the man of player, a provocateur, or a person who deliberately behaves controversially in order to provoke argument or other strong reactions. His work ranged from sculpture, kinetic art, to painting, installation, and performing art. One of his best example of art is the Abbas La mystification down with the Philippines, and more. In 1969, during the opening of CPP, he led a blitzkrieg demonstration that protested against what he saw as the center of Pillarism. So during that time, art was not really appreciated by the people. So that's why David Maddala protected against what he saw. Because as I said, during the time, arts and other form of arts are not really appreciated by the people. Also, during the time, David Maddala was escorted outside and asked if he had a necessary permit to protest. He showed his invitation from the First Lady Imelda Marcos, no less, and invoked his right to show his artwork, which is the Abas La Mystification Down with the Philippines. Also, David Midala was known for his kinetic art. He is an kinetic artist. Now let's proceed to the government of Ferdinand and Imelda Marcos was disposed in 1986 by the EDSA People Power. During the time, MET focused on Filipino art. The CCP started exhibit work of realist artists which could not be hosted in 1970s because, as I said earlier, during the 1970s, art was not really appreciated. DCP was debated by the DTI. MOPA was debated upon by organization in a series of meetings revolving around the anxiety of what it takes for a post-Marcos institution to be democratic. So, during the Marcos time, we all know that many people was traumatized because of what happened during Marcos time. Many people get anxiety because of the martial law until the democracy come. And so during Marcos time, they began to appreciate art. They began to know more about art and develop it. They began making exhibit for realist. They began to make an exhibit for the arts. They also found out that MOPA is not owned by the Philippine national government, and the institution itself did not have kind to continue its operation ultimately. Also, Marcos oligarchy informed artists' practice and shape. Also, Marcos oligarchy informed artists, practice, and shape ecologists or participants during that period. Artists collective were informed as part of renewed sense of democratized practice. So, during Marcos, until the democracy, they developed or they practiced and shape ecologies of participants during that period. Next, the kababaihan sa sining at bagong sibol na kamalayan, also known as kasibulan. Kababaihan sa sining at bagong sibol na kamalayan, or woman in the arts in an emerging consciousness. It was founded in 1973 by the artists Aida Bugayong, Julie Lunch, Dalena Imelda, Kahipe Endaya, Brenda Fajardo, and Anna Fern. The goal of Kasibulan is to collect a collective consciousness of Filipino woman, which is new image and identity can emerge and transformation begin by giving a sense of power and empowerment by creating network. So Kasibulan collect Filipino women. They create a network or they create a community for women who has a talent for they create a group of women empowerment. It was inspired by Commission on the Role of Philippine Women, or NCRFW. The goal is to collective consciousness of Filipino women, which is new image and identity can emerge and transform begin by giving a sense of power and empowerment by creating a network. So they create a network or the group of women who can merge with woman artistic regionally, nationally, and internationally. This collective consciousness presents itself in her visual language, sensibility, artistic excellence, symbolism, imagery, values, and beliefs of woman personal and collective transformation, interest in craft that are domain of woman, tribal, indigenous, or folk. Craft that are domain of woman, tribal, indigenous, or folk, as an alternative effort to inescapable influence of Western modernism. The group also dive Lord to assist women groups in resolving women's issue that has long hindered that socio-economic and cultural growth of the Filipino woman. Membership. Open to all women in the art, visual literacy, and performing artists, including art historian, educator, and critics who demonstrate to work for the sisterhood goals. So they made Kasibulan for woman who is an art visual woman who can make art, visual literacy, and performing arts, including art historian, educator, and critics who demonstrate to work for sisterhood. Kasibulan fostered a community of women artists unconscious an issue of gender in potential of feminism, a feminist struggle if the conscious word towards it.
Buenos dias, ma'am, and this is my report. The cogent relations between activism and performance are fleshed out in the practice of Poet de Mesa, who also convenes the annual Solidarity Performance Art Festival, an artist-organized project that promotes cultural exchange, solidarity, and peace through Performance Festival that started in 2015. Increasing attention to activist campaigns raises the questions of whether they lead to better performance. The impact of different motives, demands, and proposals is still unclear and sometimes contradictory. The artist Asa Jackson has practiced the same potential in performance in her work, such as in the work of Princess Studies 2017 and the Filipino Superwoman 2019. Those performative agency likewise inspires the practice of artists and architects. The participation and more horizontal logics of practice finds exceptional articulation. Load na dito process kabit at sabit, a multimodal and multi-site exhibition that involved practitioners from all over the archipelago. Each practitioner was asked to choose a facade in which they attached or installed objects, and it transforms the site into an extraordinary space where art meets its public, both incidental and intentional. On those tendencies and trajectories of practice institutional history, Philippines contemporary art demonstrates an acute discernment of persistent and current concerns, one that shapes the lively intellects or engaged artists and continually expands the effect of their institution. Thank you. That's all.